metrics that we need to pay attention to. One is whether Americans think their personal finances are getting better or getting worse. And that's a number that I think this White House should pay close attention to. They're probably not monitoring the stock market and whether the Dow is going up or down on a daily basis, but they do feel it, whether they're at the grocery store or whether they're paying rent. Those are the types of things that impact their bottom line. And it's one of the things that really did in Joe Biden when he could not get inflation under control, which was his own fault for spending as much government spending as he allowed during his term as president. So this president, I think, needs to pay careful attention to those issues.
You know, we're moments away from Caroline Leavitt. When she does step to the podium, we'll go right to her. We may have to interrupt you, but Robert, we do want to just ask one big question. The Democrats are saying this could be a big miss for President Trump. We're having Caroline Leavitt stepping to the podium. Let's go live.
Lithuania yesterday. And it pains me to confirm that today, by addressing the U.S. Army soldiers who went missing while conducting a mission to repair and tow an immobilized tactical vehicle in Lithuania in the early hours of March 25th. Tragically, 3 soldiers were found deceased in Lithuania yesterday, and it pains me to confirm that today the 4th soldier was also found deceased. The President, the Secretary of Defense, and the entire White House are praying for the victims' friends and family during this unimaginable time. This is another stark reminder of the selfless sacrifice of our brave military men and women who risk their lives around the world every day to keep us safe. God bless them. On another note, at our southern border, there is more massive news. Southwest border crossings in March fell to the lowest level in American history, down 94% from March of last year under President Biden, when 137,000 illegal aliens poured across our wide-open southern border. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol agents are now back to doing the jobs they signed up for, securing the border, rather than serving as travel agents for illegal aliens. The Los Angeles Times captured the Trump effect on the border with a recent article. Their headline read, "California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, is now nearly empty." With so few migrants coming into the U.S., they wrote, "Shelters that once served migrants have completely closed." Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Over the weekend, the United States military transferred a group of 17 violent criminals from the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorist organizations to El Salvador. And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia, which, for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay. This case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats let into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border. They should have never been here in the first place. Keep this in mind the next time you see Democrats protesting future illegal alien removals from our country. President Trump is focused on fulfilling his greatest obligation, to keep the American people safe and to defend our country from violent invaders. Looking ahead to tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. Our country has been one of the most open economies in the world, and we have the consumer base hands down, the best consumer base. But too many foreign countries have their markets closed to our exports. This is fundamentally unfair. The lack of reciprocity contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit that's gutted our industries and hollowed out key workforces. But those days of America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over. American workers and businesses will be put first under President Trump, just as he promised on the campaign trail. The president's historic action tomorrow will improve American competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our massive trade deficits, and ultimately protect our economic and national security. President Trump's economic vision is rooted in common sense. America will offer companies the lowest taxes, energy costs, regulations, if they make their products right here in the United States and hire American workers for the job. It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs. We have already seen a number of the largest companies in the world respond to this economic approach. For example, Project Stargate, led by Japan-based SoftBank and US-based OpenAI and Oracle, announced a $500 billion private investment in the United States-based artificial intelligence infrastructure. Apple announced a $500 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing and training. NVIDIA announced it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years in U.S.-based manufacturing. And the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company TSMC announced a $100 billion investment in U.S.-based chips and manufacturing. These are just a few of the investment announcements that have already been made, and it is clear that President Trump's America First approach is already working. In our new media seat today is Mark Halperin, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Two Way, a new live video platform that builds communities around interactive conversations with leaders and content creators from every subject area. Mark and his colleagues welcome all voices into discussions that are spirited, but they have a million watch time hours since the platform began just last year. This is new media in its truest sense, allowing the people to ask questions, make comments, and be an active part of engagement on the most important issues facing the country and our world. With that, Mark, please kick us off, and welcome to the briefing room.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. I will ask you a question about tariffs and then one from one members of our community about education. It's perceived by some that companies or countries, if they change their policies either before tomorrow or after tomorrow, can have the president alter what he's planning for that country or that sector. Is that a possibility? And if so, what factors the president consider in making those changes?
Well, the ultimate change for these companies in these countries, Mark, will happen when they decide to do business in the United States of America. And as I just laid out, they will face no tariffs at all if these companies choose to invest here in the United States and to move their production and their manufacturing here to the United States as well. As for tomorrow, the president will be addressing the decades of unfair trade practices that have ripped our country off and American workers off. It has hollowed out our middle class. It has destroyed our heartland, and the president is focused on reshifting our global economy to ensure that America is once again the manufacturing superpower of the world.
So if they do something today or later in the week that's a pledge for future activity, would that be good enough potentially to alter the policy?
Again, the president has been looking at the very unfair trade practices of the past. Certainly, the president is always up to take a phone call, always up for a good negotiation, but he is very much focused on fixing the wrongs of the past and ensuring that American workers have a fair shake.
So if someone calls after tomorrow and says, hey, I'm ready to make a change, he'd be open to that?
The president is always open to taking calls.
Okay. A question from one of our community members. Katie Reeves is a school teacher in Wisconsin. She's taught K through 8 in public, independent, and private schools. And here's what she wanted me to ask you. She says, I see the elimination of the Department of Education as an excellent first step in the improvement of our school system. Do you see any further role the federal government can take beyond this, possibly in promoting the expansion of voucher programs or reducing the influence that teachers' unions hold over our schools?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Katie for her service to our country and our nation's children. Being a teacher is the most noble profession that we believe one can have. And the president said in his remarks when he signed the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education that he loves our teachers. And in part, this order is to empower our teachers to have greater decision making in the classroom. Nobody knows our nation's children and our students better than our teachers who are with them every single day. As for the federal government's role, to get to the heart of Katie's question, the president has made it clear to Linda McMahon that we need to find other places within our federal government for critical programs regarding education. Pell Grants, Title IX, lawsuits, etc., civil rights lawsuits, all of that are critical functions, special needs programs, nutrition programs, but there are other places throughout the federal bureaucracy where those things can happen and work. The Department of Education has been a very bloated bureaucracy. We spent trillions of dollars on this department, and for what? Our children are worse off as far as education goes today than they were when this department originated, and that's very concerning to the president. So,
the two issues she cited, are those priorities for the president? School education choice, vouchers, and diminishing the role of teachers' unions?
The president is very supportive of both of those things, particularly when it comes to school choice. He has said that school choice is the civil rights issue of our time, and he wants every child, regardless of zip code, socioeconomic status, how much money their parents have, to be able to go to the school of their choosing that best suits their educational needs. And he is going to empower state and local leaders to make those decisions on behalf of our nation's children. Thanks for being here, Mark. Jeff.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore. And it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the president, the attorney general, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The vice president said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning. Steve.
Has the president fully made up his mind on the level of tariffs to impose tomorrow? We keep hearing about a 20% flat rate.
The president said last night he has made a decision and a determination. I was with him in the Oval Office earlier, and he is going to announce that decision tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of the president. This is obviously a very big day. He's with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect deal for the American people and the American worker, and you will all find out in about 24 hours from now.
And are the car tariffs going to go into effect on April 3rd as scheduled?
Correct. Yes, they will.
Okay. And last thing, would you like to respond to the Chinese military drills around Taiwan?
Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, the National Security Council briefed me on this morning, and they said that the president is emphasizing the importance of maintaining peace in the Taiwan Strait, encouraging the peaceful resolution of these cross-strait issues, reiterating our opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion. That is directly from the National Security Advisor. Just for you, Steve Holland of Reuters. Monica.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Elon Musk this week revealed that Doge found that the Biden administration issued over 2 million Social Security numbers to illegal aliens, found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security system. Has the White House confirmed these numbers with Elon, and is the White House looking into correcting this?
I'm not sure about those specific numbers that Mr. Musk cited. I can tell you what the Social Security Administration has said themselves, according to an Inspector General's report that was conducted last year, showing there was nearly $80 billion worth of fraud in this program. We know for a fact there are individuals who should not be receiving benefits on the Social Security rolls, and this administration is focused on cleaning out the waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency, but particularly in Social Security, to make it stronger for our tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who deserve these entitlements and programs. Because you did bring up Doge, I do want to tout the incredible efforts that have been made at the Environmental Protection Agency. And Administrator Lee Zeldin is just doing a tremendous job. Just yesterday and today it will be going into effect. He announced that taxpayers will be saved $8 million in annual lease costs by moving staff out of the 323,000 square feet of space that the EPA currently occupies, which is completely completely unnecessary. Yesterday, Administrator Zeldin also announced he will be shutting down a museum that the Biden administration built to tell a selective story about the EPA's history and climate change. It was a real pat on the back to President Biden. And guess how much American taxpayers paid for it? $4 million for this museum that I think only 1,000 visitors saw last year alone. And it would cost American taxpayers $600,000 per year to operate this museum. Well, it's not going to exist anymore. We're going to save taxpayers those critical funds. And Administrator Zeldin is very proud to announce that. And just at EPA alone and the cuts that they have made, they've saved taxpayers more than $22 billion in wasteful grants and spending. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When the president goes down to Florida on the weekends, does he ever hear from, there are so many retired folks down in Florida, does he ever hear from any retired Americans who are stressed about these wild swings in the stock market because of the tariff uncertainty, and they're sitting there on fixed income or living off a 401k, and they don't know how much money's going to be left?
Well, certainly they are legitimate concerns, and the president takes those concerns very seriously, and he's addressing them every single day. And tomorrow's announcement is to protect future generations of the senior citizens you mentioned. It's for their kids and their grandkids to ensure that there are jobs here in the United States of America for their children to live the American dream, just like they presumably did. And as for their worries about their 401ks, their Social Security, I just addressed Social Security. This president is always going to protect it for our tax-paying senior citizens. As for their 401ks, look at what President Trump did for you in his first term. He is working on implementing that economic formula every single day by lowering inflation, lowering energy prices, massive deregulatory efforts, while simultaneously effectively implementing tariffs. And they'll hear more about that announcement tomorrow.
And you said that the president right now is with the trade and tariff team. They are very confident that this is all going to work. But what if they're wrong?
They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. And we are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower. And again, Peter, I would point you to the investments that have already trickled into this country. And the president hasn't even made his tariff announcement yet tomorrow. There have been billions of dollars in private investments from around the world pouring into American communities. What does that look like for those watching at home, for the people you mentioned worried about their own economic circumstances? It means more jobs in your communities, which means more money, more investments, more money in your pocket. That's what the president is committed to. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the president's commitment to tax cuts, which we are counting on Congress to do, especially on Social Security.
And one more.
Sure.
Are the special elections today a referendum on the president?
I think first of all, as you know, I'm a government employee now, so I'm not very much allowed to comment on elections that are taking place. That's something to get used to, having just been on the campaign trail for quite some time. But the president is the leader of the America First movement and the MAGA movement. And that was made very clear on November the 5th when he received nearly 80 million votes. I could also say that it is the constitutional right of every law-abiding American in these places where these elections are being held to vote, and every American should exercise their constitutional rights. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. A few questions about this deportation case. First, I wanted to clarify something that you said to Jeff a few minutes ago. You said you'd seen evidence that this man was a convicted gang member. In what court was he convicted, and for what?
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane, failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth. They didn't even mention in the title of that article, or even in the first paragraph, that this individual is an illegal criminal who broke our nation's immigration laws. He is a leader in the brutal MS-13 gang, and he is involved in human trafficking, and now MS-13 is a designated foreign terrorist organization. Foreign terrorists have no legal protections in the United States of America, and this administration is going to continue to deport foreign terrorists and illegal criminals from our nation's interior.
But a judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration
It was an
judge.
immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior. And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly. Killed and mutilated a 17-year-old girl in Virginia, stabbing him 16 times and cutting off his hands. They beheaded and cut out the heart of a man in Washington, D.C. They raped and murdered a 13-year-old girl in California. They sex trafficked a slew of young girls, including one who was just 12 years old. Raped an 11-year-old girl in Brooklyn while her brother was in the room. Sex trafficked a 13-year-old in Maryland and Virginia. Miles away from this White House, even beating her 26 times on her backside with a baseball bat. Pressured homeless New Yorkers to undergo unnecessary surgeries such as spinal fusion in order to bolster their fraudulent lawsuits. These are vicious criminals. This is a vicious gang. And I wish that the media would spend just a second of the same time you have spent trying to litigate each and every individual of this gang who has been deported from our country as the innocent Americans whose lives have been lost at the hands of these brutal criminals. We maintain our position, and very strongly so. Jennifer.
One more on the tariffs. Can you say what the latest thinking is on the start date? I know you were just in the Oval. Are they all going to take effect this week on the reciprocal tariffs? And whenever they start, is that enough time for companies and everyone involved to adjust to that start date?
My understanding is that the tariff announcement will come tomorrow. They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time, as you know. He's talked a lot about April 2nd as Liberation Day in America. It would be taking place today if not for April Fool's Day. But tomorrow will be the day, and he's been talking about it for a while. And as a result, you've seen these companies make commitments to investing right here in the United States. Jasmine.
Thank you so much. I wonder, back on tariffs, what, if any, market indicators is the White House looking for to see if this tariffs plan is successful down the line?
Well, look, the president has been asked and answered this question about the stock market and whether he's watching it. And I've said, and he has said, the market is a snapshot in time. Yesterday, Dow futures were up. And there's been a lot of talk about the market, and it was up yesterday. So, look, the president wants to ensure that all Americans make out well, particularly Main Street. That's the focus of these tariffs. But as I've said repeatedly, just like they were in his first term, Wall Street will be just fine. Shelby.
Thanks. A bipartisan pair of senators sent a letter to the president today arguing that the recent strikes in Yemen are emboldening the Houthis and saying that Congress has not authorized war against them. Is the administration planning to consult with Congress at some point or going forward regarding the strikes, and any response on the letter?
Well, I would absolutely reject Congress's claims. Who made those claims in Congress?
Senator Jeff Merkley and Rand Paul.
Okay, well, I would absolutely reject those claims. These Houthi strikes have been incredibly successful. Last time I was at this podium, there were more than 100 successful strikes. There have now been over 200 successful strikes against the Houthis. Iran is incredibly weakened as a result of these attacks. And we have seen they've taken out Houthi leaders. They've taken out critical members who were launching strikes on naval ships and on commercial vessels. And this operation will not stop until the freedom of navigation in this region is restored, which is a critical principle. And this president stands behind our Defense Department, who's doing a tremendous job.
And are they going to, is the White House going to confer with Congress going forward on this?
I would have to ask our team here at the White House, but the president is well within his authority, as is the Secretary of Defense. Again, these are defensive strikes. The Houthis have been launching attacks on U.S. naval vessels and commercial ships for quite some time. Go ahead.
Caroline,
Yeah.
the pause on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs, the fentanyl tariffs, that's set to expire tomorrow. Is the president considering extending that pause?
Look, I will let the president speak on the specifics of the tariffs tomorrow. But as for fentanyl, we have seen this has certainly caused a national security crisis here in the United States. Fentanyl continues to be the #1 killer of young people in this country, and the president is very much focused on that. Deanna.
Thank you, Caroline. The president recently signed an executive order on making D.C. safe and beautiful. On the campaign trail, he talked about making New York great again. Does he have any plans on establishing a similar task force? Has he been pressuring Governor Hochul in any way in his conversations about New York and lowering crime?
Well, he has been in correspondence with Governor Hochul quite a bit on the issue of crime, also on the issue of congestion pricing, and so many other issues that are facing New Yorkers. And he wants New York to clean up their streets just as he does here in Washington, D.C. He also speaks to Mayor Adams as well. So he's engaged with state and local leaders across the entire country to ensure they're doing their part to help American citizens in each and every state, regardless of if it's a red state or a blue state.
A question on Russia. Yesterday, the Russian government said that their new goal is 160,000 conscripts for the war. Has the president seen that number, and does he have any response given his recent conversations on peace talks?
Well, I can tell you what the president said last night, and that is he is frustrated with leaders on both sides of this war. He wants this war to end. There are men that are dying on both sides, and it's been going on for far too long. Our team continues to be engaged with the Russians as we are with the Ukrainians, and the president continues to be very, very much engaged on this topic every single day.
Caroline.
Sure.
Caroline,
Sure.
The president said over the weekend that he couldn't care less if prices went up on foreign cars because people buy more American cars. There's been consensus from a lot of economists that these tariffs could raise prices on other goods as well. Is the president comfortable with Americans on Main Street paying more because of these tariffs?
The president is doing everything he can, and this entire administration is doing everything we can to bring down the cost of living in this country. An inflation mess that was fueled by the previous administration's reckless spending, burdensome regulations that this administration is focused on slashing every single day. I just read you a statistic just from the Environmental Protective Agency alone. We're saving taxpayers money that's ultimately going to drive down inflation, and we're unleashing the might of our energy industry, which will bring down prices as well. To the heart of your question, because this is very important to the American people, you should trust what this president did for you in his first term. He effectively utilized tariffs while driving down inflation. It was a record low 1.4% when he left office, and he's focused on getting back to that. It's unfortunate the previous administration left us in this mess. Sure.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna left the Freedom Caucus over their lack of support for her bill that would allow new parents to proxy vote around 12 weeks around the birth of their baby. Does the president support that bill?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually talked to the president about that bill, but I certainly can and can get a take on if he supports it or not.
Thank you. And one more. The D.C. Circuit ruled last week that the president can fire holdover Biden appointees of independent agencies. Will this ruling empower President Trump to dismiss more federal employees?
Well, the president has given the responsibility to his cabinet secretaries to hire and fire at their respective agencies, and they reserve that right. You saw the Secretary of Health and Human Services announced more layoffs today. This is all part of the administration's effort for a mass reduction in force in the federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save American taxpayers money. As for agencies within the president's executive authority, the president retains that right. And we've seen there have been bureaucrats at some of these agencies that have been trying to act independent. They need to remember who they work for. It's the executive of the executive branch. You look at the United States Institute of Peace, for example. There was a little bit of a standoff with bureaucrats over there who didn't want to realize who they work for, and that is Donald Trump. And President Trump is focused on streamlining these agencies to save American taxpayers money, and he has every right to do that.
Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Yeah.
In Gaza, the bodies of 15 rescuers have been found in their sort of ambulances where they were apparently killed by Israeli forces. Just wondering if the White House is going to be calling on Israel to investigate that and to try and avoid similar casualties involving rescue workers in the future.
Well, as for the specific situation you just mentioned, I'll talk to the president about it and our national security team. What I can tell you is what I've spoken with the president on. He very much remains committed to backing Israel, and it was only because of this president and his team's leadership that we had a temporary ceasefire in Gaza, that we were able to bring many hostages home. And the president made it very clear to Hamas, you get the hostages out, all of them, or there will be hell to pay. And Hamas is certainly witnessing what it feels like for all hell to be paid, and the president supports Israel's right to defend itself.
Any progress at all on a ceasefire at the moment, as far as the president's concerned?
The president and his team continue to be engaged on this every single day. Sure. Go ahead,
So I'm just wondering, related to that, if you have an approximate date for the president's first foreign trip. I think there was a little confusion yesterday about what month he was talking about. And then will he need a ceasefire to be in place or closer, either in Gaza or in Ukraine, before that takes place?
The president will be heading to Saudi Arabia in May. As for specific dates and details, we will be reading those out to you as soon as we possibly can. I know our teams are working on the details of that trip. And then again, as for a ceasefire, the president's made it clear that's what he wants to see in Russia and Ukraine, and his team continues to be engaged on it every day.
And just
Kelly.
quickly on Signal, you said case closed yesterday. Do you, as that case was closed, do you have anything that you can share about what was learned, how this can be avoided in the future, any sort of findings from that investigation?
The case is closed, and the president continues to have confidence in his national security advisor. Yes, Kelly. Kelly.
Thanks, Caroline. So
Sorry,
the president
Ed.
has said.
Ed, I'll come to you after.
The president
I'm
said.
glad you're so eager to ask a question.
It's Liberation Day.
Yes, it is.
Caroline, the president has said foreign
Tomorrow.
countries and companies will eat the cost of tariffs. In his speech on Inauguration Day, he said, quote, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Right.
So then why did he have to tell the domestic automakers not to raise prices?
Well, that was a private conversation that was had. I'm not sure if that comment was made or was not made. But as for what the president said in his Inauguration Day speech, he's absolutely correct. A tariff will be a tax on these foreign nations, these foreign companies, and if they want to be absolved of that tariff, then they can come here to the United States of America to do business, bring their jobs here. Edward, go ahead.
Thank you. So Canadians have been negotiating with the Commerce Secretary over the trade, the tariffs. How many companies are mutually talking with the U.S. or countries are mutually talking with the U.S. to lower tariffs?
I don't have a specific number, but I can tell you there have been quite a few countries that have called the president and have called his team in discussion about these tariffs. But again, there's one country the president cares most about, and it's the United States of America, and doing what's best for the people who elected him to this office to restore their jobs, their wealth, and their prosperity. I'm looking at the clock. I have a hard out today. I have a hard out today because I'm actually heading over to the State Department with the First Lady of the United States. She will be delivering remarks at 1 o'clock this afternoon at the 19th International Women of Courage Award ceremony with our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that starts at 1. This is the 5th year Mrs. Trump is participating and standing with brave women leaders who embody American values abroad. And the First Lady, in her remarks today, will highlight the profound connection between the love and courage that will be shown by this year's honorees. I encourage everybody to tune in at 1 o'clock, and then we'll see you all tomorrow for Liberation Day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Caroline.
All right, we have been watching live the White House press briefing with Caroline Leavitt, press secretary. Of course, the big topic of the day was the Liberation Day. The president has called tomorrow Liberation Day, but there is a lot of trepidation in anticipation of the tariffs coming tomorrow and then continuing the day after. What will he actually do when it comes to the tariffs? How will it affect the economy? How will it affect jobs, retirement accounts like your 401ks? Will this be a big win or a big miss for the administration? We'll be watching.
People will remember this day, April 1st, 2025. She was asked, what if Team Tariff is wrong? She said, quote, they're not going to be wrong. There'll be more money in your pocket. We will keep them accountable 2 months from now, 3 months from now, a year from now. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we will take you now to Dr. Phil. Wake up as Dr. Phil investigates Robert and the women he thinks he's dating online. That's next.
Make a huge difference in your life.
It would.
If that had gone to you instead
Yes.
of being,
And that's money he can't recover either.
right, instead of going off to some scammer, if
Right.
$50,000 was in your account, all of a sudden it would make a huge difference.
It would make a huge difference in my future. If you're going to spend over $1,000 a month sending women money, send some of it to this woman, send some of it to that woman right there.
Well, what you're saying is you just want the dignity of being warm, dry, and safe in the same place as your life goes on,
Yes.
instead of bouncing around and wondering where you're going to be
Right.
next month.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very reasonable. You didn't have to come here today, but you did, and I hope you're better for it.
Yes.
I think so. I appreciate you
All
being
right,
here.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I want to shift the conversation a little and talk with a teacher who says the decline in public education is out of control.
I got charged for a stolen vehicle.
Do time in jail. Go behind bars to witness the unfiltered reality of life on the inside.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Seriously? Oh, God.
Things can get serious real fast.
Then it's the ultimate showdown on the streets.
Let me see your hands right now.
Cops Reloaded.
Get on the ground.
Hosted by Dr. Phil, Nancy Grace, and Lonnie Coombs.
You won't want to miss it.
Jail and Cops Reloaded. Weekdays starting at 4 Eastern on Dr. Phil's Merit TV.
I love what I do, which is help people make the switch to consumer cellular, like our customers Courtney and Jackie.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Consumer Cellular gives you access to a fast, reliable, nationwide network for up to half the cost of big wireless.
My previous provider was terrible.
Why are we paying this much for our cell phone bill? It's crazy, right?
Dropped calls or missed calls. To me, that was just normal.
We wouldn't get to talk to a person. Now with Consumer Cellular, no problems.
Our reception is so much better with Consumer Cellular. It's been amazing.
I just made a road trip across half the country, and I did not have one dropped call.
Better customer service. They tell me exactly what I'm paying and why I'm paying for it.
And here's my favorite part. You can save up to half on your bill.
It's within $1 of being half of my old bill.
With Verizon, I was paying about $150 a month. With Consumer Cellular, I'm paying about half that.
As AARP members, we get 2 lines for $55 a month.
I'm getting the exact same coverage for half the price. That's a beautiful thing.
Done deal.
We'll set you up with the best plan for you and help you wrap things up with your old provider. It all takes about 20 minutes.
Switching over took about 20 minutes. That's it.
Consumer Cellular customer service reps are A1, top notch.
They are so nice. You get a human being to talk to.
It's month to month, very simple. You're not locked in.
I got to keep my phone. I got to keep my number.
If you're thinking about switching providers, do it.
If I can do it, you can.
That's why I love Consumer Cellular. They've made it easy.
We'd love for you to enjoy our reliable nationwide coverage and the best customer service in the business. Give us a call now and start saving up to half on what you're paying now. It only takes about 20 minutes. Call 800-550-2659 to switch and save up to half with Consumer Cellular. Plus, for a limited time, new customers get their second month free when they sign up today.
Attention anyone 50 or older. This is an important message for you.
Mom, I found this funeral bill for $10,000. How are we going to pay for that?
Before we lost your father, I set up a final expense life insurance plan for us to use to cover the funeral, debts, and other expenses.
How does the life insurance plan pay for all of that?
Easy. I qualified for $1 million in coverage. So when my time comes, you can use that money for my funeral and other expenses that I may leave behind.
How are you affording that on a fixed income?
Would you believe I qualified for a plan that costs less than $1 a day? I didn't have to go see a doctor, and all I had to do was make one phone call, and I was approved.
If you're over 50, you qualify for a life insurance policy up to $1 million to cover funeral, debts, and other expenses. The average funeral costs about $10,000, but now for just pennies a day, you can help protect your loved ones from unexpected costs and debts. With our guaranteed acceptance, you're automatically approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Best of all, your rates will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and your coverage will never be canceled. There's no paperwork, hidden fees, or waiting period. With one call, in as little as 5 minutes, you can start your coverage right over the phone and qualify for options ranging between $10,000 up to $1 million in coverage, tax-free. You're just one phone call away from protecting your family, starting for less than $1 a day. Don't leave your family with bills to pay when you're gone. Give them the peace of mind they deserve. Call 800-734-0941 to make sure your loved ones are protected with plans up to $1 million in coverage.
Thank you for making sure that we're secure. I love you.
I love you too. I just want to make sure that you're protected when I'm gone.
Call 800-734-0941. That's 800-734-0941.
Luminary Life. Peace of mind for life.
Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern.
All right, let's go.
Get your day going with Steve.
Everybody in a good mood today?
He rules.
Steve Harvey for president.
And nobody throws it down. like Steve.
That's how you do it, baby. Make me the best talk show in the world, which I am.
When you're having this much fun, it's Harvey working.
Oh, you just went straight up there, didn't you?
Steve, weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central on Dr. Phil's Merit TV.
Our country, in my opinion, is the best in the world in so many ways. If I got a hill to climb, this is where I want to do it. But families, core values, our principles, our education system are all under attack, which is why I wrote my new book, We've Got Issues, How You Can Stand Strong for America's Soul and Sanity. It is time we push back. Now, Laverne is a 4th grade teacher in Massachusetts who says students are performing 2 to 3 grades below what they should be doing.
Public education is doing a disservice to a lot of kids. The eradication of social studies and civics has dumbed down entire generations of students. Learning a second or third language should be mandatory as early as kindergarten. I don't know when we stop teaching about money, but let's get back to that, and finance, and credit. So why are kids struggling? What if I told you it was by design? Whoever had the best scores and raced to the top first at a certain deadline got the funding. The decline of public school education. We're tired. No one cares. No one's listening. We're also not getting paid what we're worth and what we deserve. We're being micromanaged and tied to curriculum that's trash. Being bullied and threatened makes you not want to teach. Teachers don't have a love of children or a love of the profession. Kids don't want to be here. Teachers don't either.
Thank you so much for being here. You say students are performing 2 to 3 grades below where they should be, and you're teaching 4th grade.
Yes, sir.
So they're falling behind in a fast hurry.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I believe there are a few issues at hand. A lot of children aren't in preschool. A lot of families don't always value education. And then kids also have a lot of external issues going on, whether it be homelessness, poverty, relationships, divorce going on in the home. They're not always there emotionally or available to learn. So there's a lot of factors at play.
Is anything being done to address this, to support these students in a way, or are they just being progressed on through the system?
Many of them are being pushed on to the next grade level. I know for me in my school, we have wraparound services. We work with community organizations to help the students. I know in my classroom, I have small groups. We have intervention to try and pinpoint reading deficiencies and math deficiencies. We have coaches on hand to help the students and help new teachers sometimes have strategies with these students. But as a whole, a lot of kids are getting pushed on to the next grade level. A lot of students are several grade levels behind.
I've written a new book, We've Got Issues. And I was doing research for this book and was so shocked. I found that 30% of 5th and 8th graders basically can't read. 19% of high school graduates can't read at the most basic level. And so I thought, well, all right, how is this working out when people get out in the world? 45 million Americans read below a 5th grade level. They have trouble reading instructions for a prescription that they get at the drugstore. And in 2022, scores for 9-year-old students declined 5 points compared to 2020, is the largest average score decline since 1990. And math, the last 10 years, there's been no improvement. So whatever we're doing isn't working. People always hear me say, how's that working for you? In math instruction, it ain't working at all. And in 2022, scores for 9-year-old students declined 7 points compared to 2020. It's a first ever score decline. So we're just sliding down the hill.
Absolutely. So we're getting back to the science of reading. We're getting back to phonics. We're getting back to phonemes and blends. We're getting back to old school ways of learning how to read, basically.
Okay. And let me ask you something. When I went to school, we had a grading scale. 90 to 100 was an A, 80 to 90 B, 70 to 80 C. And I saw a Facebook post, so we talked to the person, and verified this out of a school in Southern California. When did this become the recommended grading standard, is what it said. I guess my kid doesn't have to work so hard anymore to get an A, because now A is 84 to 100, B 64 to 84, C 44 to 64, wow. D 24 to 44, and F 0 to 24. So when we look at this now, a C is 44 to 64. Are they inflating grades this much?
That's insane. I know for me, I teach in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that's not our grading scale, so I can't speak to that. Where I work, where I teach, and where I live, an A to A plus is still a 90 to 100, a B is still an 80, a C is still a 70. Anything below that, a 60 is a D, and then failing is 50 and below. So
the statistics are clear. Students are making higher grades and learning less nationwide.
Absolutely. Well, I know my husband teaches high school, and a lot of times when a student does no work, they'll force the teacher to give a 50. When a student fails a class, you have to go to summer school. Well, what happens when you fail summer school? Then you go to night school. What happens when you fail night school? You go to credit recovery. After credit recovery, you either drop out or you have to go to some alternative program. So it's like they're trying to tout their graduation rates, but they're not trying to make the kids actually do the work.
How does this prepare the child to compete in the real world?
It doesn't. Not at all. I work with kids, helping them get into college, and they can't read. A lot of them can't write. They can't get ready for an interview. They can't hold a conversation. Technology definitely has decimated a lot of this. Their phones, their iPads, they think that they're gonna get quick money payout. They get rich quick to become a content creator instead of going to college or being educated. There's just no real value placed on education for a lot of kids and families these days.
Well, a teacher that was much wiser than me about reading, I heard her say one time, in grades 1, 2, and 3, you learn to read. After that,
you read to learn.
You read to learn. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get those skills in the first 3 grades, you don't have the tool to master material after that. And
Absolutely.
So it's going over your head.
Absolutely.
Now, I made a graphic out of some things that you said that I thought were really just a good, down-to-earth plan for getting students back on track. You said, number one, acknowledge that the kids are in a tough situation, but they've got to meet you halfway and
Absolutely,
try.
Absolutely.
I thought that was so important. And you said small groups, and you can focus on reading and math. Work one-on-one with high-need students. Mm-hmm. And I thought this last one was so important. Bring parents in for stat meetings.
Yes, sir. I try to be welcoming. I try not to be intimidating, and I let them know I'm your partner. I'm here to help. And if we don't attack this issue right now with your child, 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade is going to be a lot harder than I am. And I'm rigorous. I'm tough. I have high expectations for every student, but I want to meet you where you are and help you in any way I can.
And you're going to hang in there, right?
Yes.
Promise?
Well, we'll see. I hope so.
Well, come on, we need you. We need you.
We'll
and
see.
Listen, I've said a million times, I am such a fan of teachers. We don't pay teachers enough.
Amen.
We don't show them enough respect. We don't appreciate them enough. And I don't know a teacher that doesn't get in their own pocket
Yes.
to come up with resource materials for their classes
I have.
to do things.
Mm-hmm. And
God bless you. I am a huge teacher fan. Not a huge teacher union fan, but I am a huge teacher fan.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you're here shedding a light on this. And I talk about it in We've Got Issues because it is important. It's the future of our country. This is the generation that we're going to turn things over to.
That's right.
And if they can't read, if they don't understand science and math, we're not going to be competitive as a country.
Not
So
at all.
we need you. You're important. So thank you.
Thank you.
We've got issues in our schools, we've got issues in our universities, we've got issues in our corporate life, we've got issues in our churches, in our families, and nobody's talking about these things in a commonsensical way. And that's what I'm doing in this book, because I want to give you the talking points. I want to give you the information that you need to have the kind of conversations around your dinner table that need to be had. I want to give you the conversations to have with your children, even if they're grown and have their own children. I want to give you the information you need to have conversations with your grandchildren. I want to give you the talking points if somebody's trying to push a narrative on you that's telling you we should change things that have made this country what it is. That's what I want you to have the information. If somebody's coming and trying to tell you, forget about science, forget about history, forget about all the things that have made this country what it is today, and start believing something new, I want you to have the facts. I want you to have the information so you can say, wait a minute, that's not right. I don't care how you feel. Let me talk to you about the facts. Let me talk to you about the science. Let me talk to you about history, about what actually happened. This is a manual. This is a manual to help you in your life and help you with your children and your grandchildren. And I'm very passionate about it, and I want you to be as well. I want to focus on solving problems, not winning arguments, and to do that, we have to look for solutions that work for everybody. It's so tiresome to deal with right fighters all the time, and the way to overcome that is for you to know the truth so you can sit down and say, let's find what we can agree on. Log on to drphil.com for more questions answered. Thanks for being here.
Today on Dr. Phil, Pablo swears he's faithful.
You said I had an affair a year ago, and that's it. You have had one.
Yes. But
We did some digging. You want the truth.
I want the truth.
Amanda, come on out. Is this number 2?
Yes, it is.
he has some explaining to do.
You knew you were lying to me when you came out here and sat down. Who is Bernice?
I wonder how many more chairs you can fit over there.
How many more chairs do we need? Bernice, come on out.
I didn't want to do the show in the first place. She told me to do it.
So this is her fault.
Pretty much.
With a surprise twist
Who is Alina?
that will leave you speechless.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Now, I have always said every guest is a teaching tool, and all this week, the couples on this stage are going to teach you what not to do in a relationship. Now, I'm talking about cheating, lying, and sneaking around. A recent survey found that between 17 and 20% of men admitted they had one or several extramarital affairs. So if you or someone you love is dealing with a partner who has been unfaithful, then this week is for you. Plus, you'll find out if I think a relationship can survive infidelity. My answer may surprise you. The season premiere story you're about to see was quite the doozy. 27-year-old Pablo's dating site profile listed him as single with an intent of wanting a relationship. Problem? Well, Pablo was actually married, and his wife of 3 years, Anna, claims he was a cheater who is unapologetic for his ways.
Pablo and I have been married for 3 years. We started dating almost instantly after we met each other. Pablo was the first guy I had ever had sex with. When I was at the beach, it was a great ceremony. That was a happy time for me. He was deployed overseas. When he returned from Iraq, that's when the problem started. He became distant. I finally found out that Pablo was cheating on me when one day he got into some trouble and I had to pick him up. When I arrived to help Pablo, they told me that his girlfriend has already arrived to help him. I saw the girl, and when I told her who I was, she drove away. When I got home, I confronted Pablo. He admitted to having an affair. He admitted that they had sex twice a week. I felt broken. I felt stepped on. I felt betrayed. He told me after the affair that he will end the relationship with that woman and will start working on our marriage. It was hard to believe, but I was willing to give it a shot because I wanted to save my marriage. I've been trying to learn how to trust him again.
Pablo says she should trust him because he's only been unfaithful one time over a year ago, and then his wife needs to stop being so suspicious and just trust him again.
When I first met Anna, I thought she was the most beautiful thing that I ever saw, and we hit it off. I went to work to Iraq. During the first year that I was overseas, Anna was great. She sent care packages, letters. After the first year, it stopped cold, and I felt abandoned by her. For the last year, Anna and I have been able to live in the same household together as a married couple. I was having some real family issues, and I needed the support and comfort of Anna, and she chose not to be there with me. Instead, she was out partying. I needed attention from somebody else, and I met this other woman, and I started a relationship with her. We just meet up maybe once or twice a week, and we just have fun together. We did have sex. My wife finally found out about this woman and confronted me. It's been over a year since I admitted to being unfaithful to Anna, yet she still continues saying that I'm cheating on her and being unfaithful to her, which I'm not, and I'm getting tired of it. Anna has invaded my privacy by unlocking my phone, figuring out the phone password on my phone, going through my text messages, going through my contacts, actually calling and texting some of my contacts. I don't have any privacy in this marriage and in my life right now. I only had one occasion that I was unfaithful to her, and she should be able to move on and trust me.
Are you prepared to be honest today?
Yes.
I want you to be honest. Put it all on the table. Because otherwise you're just wasting your time and mine. Now, here are the issues according to Pablo. He says Anna was not supportive during his time in Iraq. And by that you mean at first she was. She was sending kind of care packages, some comfort items, favorite things, texting, being in contact with you, but then that just kind of fell off, right?
Yes, it did.
Okay. He says Anna had an affair while he was in the National Guard. He says Anna refused to go with him to his grandmother's funeral, and that she is always suspicious and accusing of him being unfaithful. Those are your issues.
Yes.
What do you say about all that?
Well, half of it is not true.
Did you have an affair?
No, never.
You didn't have an affair?
No.
Did you sort of have an affair?
No.
Did you kind of have an affair?
No. No
Were
affair.
you being flirty and engaging with other men?
No, never.
Well, he says you did.
Because he thinks that way.
Uh-huh. Did you stop being supportive when he was overseas? Did you stop sending him packages and texting and staying in contact with him?
Perhaps I slowed down a bit because of too many things going on in the U.S. I was taking care of things, of bills, and perhaps I got a little bit carried away with the everyday life.
So you might have let up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. And you are suspicious. You are accusatory.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so what are the marital issues according to Anna? She says Pablo cheated. He has no real job. He says he's a personal trainer. And he says he's going to college, but these are all questions because you just don't know anything about it, right? You just have no details about it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Is that true? Do you have a job?
Yes, I do.
Are you a trainer?
Yes.
Personal trainer?
Yes.
Yeah. Why does she think you don't?
I mean, being a personal trainer, there's no set hours. And I do go to college. I do go to school.
Yeah. How many hours you taking?
Full-time.
Full-time? How many hours is that?
12.
12 hours? What are you studying?
Well, I was studying criminal justice, and I was trying to take psychology.
Uh-huh. Psychology.
Yeah.
So you do admit that over a year ago you were unfaithful, you cheated.
Yes, I do admit that.
Why did you do it? What was the story?
I did it because I just stopped. I stopped feeling love for Anna. I stopped having emotions for her.
So you don't love her?
Well, for a period of time, I didn't. Now my love is trying to get back there to her.
Uh-huh. Are you focused on her?
Yes.
So you're dealing with her at this point?
Yes.
To the exclusion of all others? Because
Yes.
I always say you can't fix your marriage by turning away from each other. So you've turned towards her and you're focused on her?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're in. You want to try to make this work.
I do try to make it work, yes, because I have hope. I have hope for us.
Are you telling her the truth? You said, I had an affair a year ago, and that's it.
Yes.
Okay, because Pablo says that he only had one affair during his marriage to Anna. But you know what I always say, for every rat you see, there are 50 you don't. So what is the truth? I have some serious questions for these two when we come back. Have you lied to me since you've been out here?
About what?
About whether or not you've had more than one affair.
What is the stipulation about just not doing the show anymore?
And later, who is Bernice?
Is she in the show too? Wonder how many more chairs you can fit over there.
How many more chairs do we need?
I wore a Make America Great Again hat, and I was attacked, and they threatened to kill me. That's when war was declared on our son.
It's the Supreme Court stepping in. A legal battle that could redefine discrimination in America. That's tonight on Dr. Phil Primetime.
If you're doing everything you can to stay healthy as you age, you've got to check out Pectisol by EcoNugenics. Developed by a doctor and clinically studied, this may just be what you've been looking for.
Inflammation is at the root cause of many health challenges. Backed by over 80 studies and recommended by thousands of health providers, Pectisol helps keep inflammation levels in balance so you can feel like yourself again.
I recommend Pectisol because there is no better supplement to help keep inflammation in balance and help my patients age optimally.
From supporting improved mobility and day-to-day function to energy and immunity, Pectisol is a powerful tool for health.
I've purchased hundreds of supplements, yet nothing seemed to make a noticeable difference until I started using Pectisol.
Order now and receive 20% off, plus a free gift when you use promo code MCP20 at Pectisol.com.
An important message for Americans age 50 to 85.
Oh my gosh, you're still using Mom's old coffee pot.
It's my inheritance.
Well, it is a family heirloom.
You know what? The kids can just sell it to pay for my funeral.
It's a good thing you have life insurance.
Life insurance with our family history.
Don't you know about Colonial Penn? It's guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance with no medical questions asked.
I'm on a fixed income.
Who isn't?
You have it?
We all do. John, Maria, even Paul with all of his medical problems.
Colonial Penn.
That's right. Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company. As you get older, your health may change. Colonial Penn understands that. And we don't think it should keep you from getting life insurance to help protect your family. That's why we guarantee acceptance to everyone aged 50 to 85. No health questions, no medical exam. Applying is easy. And you have your choice of options starting at $9.95 a month, a few dollars a week, 35 cents a day. And your price will never go up. A lifetime rate lock guarantees it. This protection can last a lifetime, too. Some insurance policies end once you reach a certain age. Not this one. Pay your bill, and it's yours to keep for as long as you'd like.
How did you apply?
Called for information, got an application, filled it out, sent it back. It took a few minutes. And look at this. They sent me this free beneficiary planner just for calling. I filled in all my important information and final wishes. Now my kids will have everything they need in one place.
Ready to learn more? Call for free information and your free gift. There's no obligation. Every policy we issue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose. Why wait? Call now.
Call 1-800-688-1483 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-688-1483. There's no obligation. 1-800-688-1483. Call now.
It's been over a year since I admitted to being unfaithful to Anna, yet she continues saying that I'm cheating on her. I only had one occasion that I was unfaithful to her.
I have never cheated on Pablo. He thinks I'm doing the same thing that he's doing to me. Pablo is probably accusing me of cheating because he's the cheater.
I'm not cheating. That's in the past. There's nothing going on anymore.
Well, Pablo claims that she just needs to back off because he has cheated once. He says he's sorry about that. And it's because he says Anna cheated on him while he was in Iraq. He said he found pictures and text messages between her and another man. Now, Anna denies cheating and says Pablo's the cheater. So do you have pictures and text messages? Because we asked you for them and you didn't have them.
I was trying to get her a new phone, so I needed her old phone to transfer the data.
Uh-huh.
And then that's where I saw that she was sending pictures and texting guys while I was away in training.
Is that true?
I honestly cannot remember sending pictures to anyone.
Well, you say you don't recall. Look, come on. I
don't-
said at the beginning,
Right.
if you want to have a chance to fix things, we got to be honest and put it on the table. So I'm asking you straight up, did you cheat on him while he was in prep to go to Iraq, or did you not?
No, I didn't.
Were you sending text messages and pictures to somebody? I don't recall. I mean, you're not in a deposition here. I'm just asking. You either did or you didn't. You either sent pictures to some guys or you didn't.
I believe I didn't. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Did you have an affair with somebody?
No.
Okay. And you have had one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in fact, we did some digging of our own, and we did find some evidence. Our evidence has a name, and the name is Amanda. Take a look.
Pablo and I met in college. We started flirting and kissing. Pablo told me that he and his wife were separated, and I believed him. I was married at the time. At first, when Pablo kissed me, I pushed him away and I said, "Whoa, I'm married, Pablo. We can't be doing this." Later, Pablo and I started flirting again, and eventually we had sex. I do feel as if Pablo took advantage of me. A week or so after Pablo and I had had sex, I'd gotten this text and a voicemail from this woman saying that she was Pablo's wife and that she wanted me to stop speaking to her.
I decided to look through his phone. And I learned there was a number he'd been texting how much he loves her, misses her. She admitted that they had sex.
I was dumbfounded. I was astonished beyond all belief. Pablo probably is a habitual liar. Anna and I have gotten together to try to bring these lies out into the light so that they don't happen again.
You said you had one affair a year ago when you talked to her about it. She knows about that one, okay? Is this number two?
Yes, it is. Anna found out about it, and we talked that we were not going to say anything, but she told me a lie.
When we talked about either there'll be anything else, any surprises in the show, I didn't confront him.
You don't produce this show. I do. Look, do you want help, or do you want to come in here and tell me a pack of lies and then go home and be the same place you were?
I didn't want to do the show in the first place.
Then why are you here?
Because she told me to do it.
Have you lied to me since you've been out here?
About what?
About whether or not you've had more than one affair.
Well, just that. Well, since it came into light, yes. I mean, with the mandate.
Why? I said, are you willing to be honest? You said yes. You get it all on the table so it can be dealt with in a mature fashion.
I understand that, Dr. Phil, and she never told me that she was going to write to you or anybody else, and, you know, I didn't want a national TV about my marriage, about my life, what's happening.
You're here.
Because she told me to do it.
So this is her fault?
Pretty much.
It's not your fault for cheating, it's her fault for not describing to you. Let me tell you, we dig. We ask you a million questions, right? We gave you every opportunity to be forthcoming. We gave you every opportunity to be forthcoming. And I do my homework, and I make no apology for that, because I can't help people if I don't know what's wrong.
Okay. And that's fine.
And that's a cheap shot. You know, you're saying, "Oh, I'm a victim here. I'm a victim
I'm not
here."
playing
What the hell you mean you're a victim
I'm
here?
not playing the
Own
victim.
it.
I just didn't know that, you know, this was going to happen. Like,
So what? You knew you were lying to me when you came out here and sat down. I said, "Do not waste your time or mine. Tell me the truth."
Okay.
So, are you telling the truth?
Yes, I am.
So there's the one she knows about plus Amanda.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
What is the stipulation about just not doing the show anymore? Can I just stop and walk?
You can do whatever you want to do, but what you don't want to do is say you want help and then lie about it.
I want to fix us, but I feel like this is the only chance I have, the last chance I have, the last chance we have to fix. And I don't feel comfortable when you guys like, ooh, wooing him, because my heart breaks down when you guys do that to him. It breaks down because I care about you. I love you. I still love you. Yes, it hurts when you do to me, but I still love you, and I still have hope for us. This tiny bitty hope that's still there. I want things to work. I want you to figure out how to crawl out of this hole. I want to be out of this hole that we're sitting in our marriage.
Okay.
That's interesting. Pablo not only has a current dating site, but he really has been pretty active on it while here in LA. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
I do have a dating profile.
Your dating profile says you're single.
Is this just a show about me lying?
Well, that's certainly part of it, wouldn't you think? Amanda's here. If you want to talk to her, she's here. She can tell you what he said about you. Do you want to know?
Absolutely.
Well, Amanda, come on out.
When news happens, Dr. Phil's Merit TV is on the scene.
Secretary Caroline Leavitt is in the media press briefing area, and wait until you see who's in that new media seat today.
We have Lindsay Keith. Merit TV launched 1 year ago and creates and distributes content across diverse platforms. We're glad to have you with us, Lindsay. Please kick us off.
With White House correspondent Lindsay Keith on the front lines.
Can you help explain to the American people how tariffs will help them? Absolutely, and I'm grateful for the question.
The news on Dr. Phil's Merit TV.
$36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion. And no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you.
That's why Preserve Gold is giving away a free precious metals guide. Text the word Phil to 50505, and you can also get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. Or simply call 844-407-6375 and mention Phil today.
1 in 3 U.S. consumers have been a victim of identity theft, even when they did all the right things to protect their personal information.
I thought we did enough to keep a nightmare like this from happening. I felt so secure, but it wasn't enough.
Banks, hospitals, employers, and many government agencies all have your personal information too. And when they're exposed, careful monitoring of your accounts and credit won't be enough.
I change my passwords all the time. I shred my documents. I thought I was bulletproof, honestly.
The information thieves need to steal your identity is already in the hands of others, and it only takes one vulnerability in one place to put your identity at risk.
Yeah, it's scary when you think about how easily this kind of stuff occurs.
Let me make this very, very clear. You could do nothing wrong. Be perfect about all of your security and still be a victim of identity theft.
Tens of thousands of my hard-earned money gone.
The stakes are high, and even if you take steps to protect your personal information, you're not the only one who has it. LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats others could miss, far beyond what you could possibly monitor on your own. Like someone trying to use your social security number to open a loan, purchase a home in your name, or even take over your investment accounts.
Someone was trying to take an account out in my name. I got an alert from LifeLock. Well, I pressed the no button. That wasn't me. It was handled and taken care of.
And if you become a victim, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed. All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
There was a letter from LifeLock with a check for over $81,000. They made me whole.
All plans include identity theft restoration, guaranteed, or your money back. Call 1-800-360-9